Hello everybody and welcome to Independent Art Storytime. It's time for chapter 3 of the Box of Delights. While Kay was out of the house and Caroline Louisa making ready to leave, the other children were in their rooms, dressing up as pirates and giving themselves pirate moustaches with burnt cork. Just as the front door slammed and the car lurched away to the station, they came down to the study for a dress parade, and there they found the paper toys which had floated down from the mountain. They much enjoyed seeing their names in print. "Shoot not, shock not," said little Maria. "I like whoever it was to cheek. I shall shoot and I shall shock as long as my name's Maria. Now, let's toss up for who shall be captain. One of you has to be a merchantman and be taken and have to walk the plank." "No, let's be Christmas pirates," Jemima said, "and put all our treasure into the poor people's stockings, and let nobody know who did it. Let the people go to bed in despair, wanting money, and then find it in their stocking in the morning and be made happy." "I say," Peter said, "all of the sickly sentiments. It's a jolly good Christmas sentiment." "Well, I didn't dress up as a pirate to have Christmas sentiment." "Hold on a minute," Maria said. "I believe there's someone just outside that window." "I expect it was only the snow falling." "No, somebody coughed. It's carol singers again. Well, I'll tell them to sing and then we'll get on with pirates." "Let them ring the doorbell," Jemima said, "and then somebody will attend to them." "Not a bit," Maria said. "They're probably a lot of foul little boys trying to peep in at the window. I'm going to open this window to them here." And with that she flung back the curtain, unlocked the French window and opened it into the night. There, directly outside in the snow, was the figure of a man. "Good evening, my young friends," he said in a gentle, silky voice. "I could not make anybody hear. This is the house called Seeking's house, is it not?" "Did you want Caroline Louisa?" Jemima asked. "I'm afraid you will think what I want is very absurd," he said. "I was given to understand that a man called Hollings or Hawlings, a Punch and Judy showman, is here." "There was a Punch and Judy showman," Maria said, "but he is gone." "Gone?" the man said. "How long has he been gone?" Although he had not been invited to come in out of the snow, he had come in, and had closed the French window behind him, and was shaking the snow from himself onto the mat. Maria answered in good faith, believing that what she said was true, and little guessing what trouble her answer was to cause others. "He went away with the Tatchester choir," she said. "Do you mean the party with the Japanese lanterns?" the man asked. "Yes," Maria said. "They had a lot of Japanese lanterns." "That went off," the man asked, "in a motor bus to Tatchester?" "Oh, I don't know how they went off," Maria said. They saw that the man was dressed as a clergyman underneath his greatcoat. "And so I miss him once more," he said. "How very vexatious. I am interested, I should tell you, in the various forms of the Punch and Judy show, and this man is the son and grandson of Punch and Judy men who were on the roads many years ago. This man is known to have versions of the play which they played, and other versions still older which are not played, and I do most earnestly want to meet him, and now he is off to this wild life of the roads in weather like this, where a touch of pneumonia or passing van may wipe out his knowledge forever." "You would get him at Tatchester," Peter said. "The bishop asked him to give a performance there tomorrow." "Ah," said the man, "so that fixes him to Tatchester." He looked at Peter curiously. "May I ask," he said, "if you are the gentleman known as young Mr. Harker?" "No," Peter said, "and I don't know where he is at the moment. Probably upstairs somewhere dressing up." The man looked at little Maria. "And this little friend is your sister, I take it?" "I may be little, but I'm not a friend of yours," Maria said, "and you may take it or leave it." "Indeed," the man said, "but I interrupt your Christmas gambols, and if the man is gone, I must go too. Good night, my little Maria." He slipped out and closed the French window behind him. "I say, Maria," Peter said, "you ought not to speak to people like that." "I'll speak to people as I like," she said. "But he was a clergyman." "I bet he wasn't. What would a clergyman be doing spying in at the window?" "He wasn't spying in at the window." "Well, he was trying to anyhow. As to his saying that he'd been trying to make people hear, that's all bunk. If he'd rung the bell or knocked, we'd have heard him. He was creeping around spying. And what clergyman would come round hunting for a Punch and Judy man on a night like this? Any real clergyman would be going around carol singing, or doing choir practice, or visiting the sick and the poor. I vote we all go out and snowball that villain down his false neck." "Oh, chuck it in, Maria," Peter said. "Now come on and play pirates. Where on earth is Kay?" At that moment Kay was driving home from the station. On his way through the market square he asked Joe to stop the car. "You go home alone, Joe," he said. "I must do some Christmas shopping. I'll be back in a minute by the shortcut." He drawn some money from Caroline Louisa. He bought a little scissor case for Jemima and a sheath knife for Peter at the ironmonger's. And then he went into Bob's shop, which was almost next door, and bought a bottle of acid drops for Maria and a box of chocolate for Susan. After stuffing them into his pockets, he turned up for home up the haunted lane. Near the most haunted part of the lane, there was a shortcut into Sea King's garden across a derelict place known as Monk's Peace. There were still some stub ends of monkish building there, with the hollow of their fish pond now dry and the vaults of some of their cellars often full of water. No one much liked the place after dark, but Kay liked it better than the haunted lane, and in this night of snow it was a real shortcut. He climbed the ruined wall onto Monk's Peace, and he saw an electric torch flash in the main ruin. Several men were there. He had been told that the ghosts of monks always gathered there at Christmas time to sing carols, but ghosts of monks do not use electric torches. One of the men lit a cigarette with a pocket lighter, and another bent over a lighted match, sucking at a pipe. Kay would have slipped past without pausing, but... "So he was among the bishop's choir and we never noticed. Ha ha, what?" a familiar voice said. "Yes," a silky voice answered, and the silky voice was familiar to Kay too. "And you never noticed? Do you notice anything, I sometimes wonder?" Kay pressed close in to the ivy on the ruined wall. "A clever dodge, though, what? To get in with the choir," the foxy-faced man said. "No doubt it seems to you," the silky voice replied, "that I should have thought it the obvious dodge that you might have expected. Now he's got right through our ring again. Those fools let him trick them at Musborough, then by sheer luck we got his message that he would be here, just as we learned his disguise and where he is, and you let him go right through you with the goods on him. If only you'd not been tricked to the drop of dew for him, I'd have been here and I'd have tricked him." "You'd have thought him a carol singer, just as we did," a man growled. "Would I?" the silky voice said. "Would I, my gentle Joe, my far-seeing friend? But come on now, the wolves are running. Get on to Tatchester. There seems no doubt that he's gone there, but he may slip off by the way. Overtake that motor bus if you can, and if not, find out where he's got into Tatchester and get the goods off him." "Won't you come, Chief?" the man called Joe asked. "We're willing hands, maybe, but where are we without your great brain? Ha ha, as our friend says, what?" "You might well ask where you are without me," the silky voice said. "Are you going to start to Tatchester? Get to Tatchester, will you?" All the silkiness fell from the voice at a breath, and the men jumped as though they'd been kicked. "All right, Chief," the man called Joe said. We're going. I only asked, weren't you?" "I've got a report coming here to me," the chief said. "Report to me at the inn in number 3 code. My thundering sky, are you ever going to shift?" Kay thought from the voice that he would strike them. The men hurried out of the ruin, going away from Kay, who was now pressed into the ivy on the wall, and he heard the men clumping at a trot along the Sea King's garden fence. Presently he heard their car start off, taking the Tatchester Road, and just before the door slammed he heard a wave sentence from the foxy-faced man. "Little Abner's in his tantrums, ha ha, what?" And the others laughed. "He'll tantrum you pretty soon," the man growled from within the ruin. "So it's Abner Brown and his gang again," Kay muttered. "I am up against magic then, as well as crime. What report can he have coming to him here? I daren't move until he's gone from here, and if anyone comes here with a report, he's almost bound to see me. Oh dear, oh dear." Kay was standing pressed against the ivy outside. Under the vaulted roof inside the ruin, Abner stamped his feet and flogged with his arms. Kay had not waited a minute after the starting of the car before he heard a sort of scuttering, scraping noise coming from somewhere below. There were also little splashes and snarls. He knew that under the ruins there were many queer underground ways, and someone was coming up by one of those into the ruin where Abner was. "Is that you, Rat?" Abner asked. "Ah, it's me," a surly voice answered. "And what the good of being me? Up in the attic and down in the cellar all weathers, all hours, for one who'd sell his mother if he had one, and for what she'd fetch as old bones. And what do I get by it? Bacon fat, you might say, or the green of the cheese that the dog won't eat, or the haggy that made the hen swoon. But I don't, my Christian friend. I get rheumatics, that and the dog sticked at me, that's what." "As a matter of fact, I've got some green-looking cheese for you," Abner said. "Look here." There was the scratch of a match, and Abner lit a candle end. Kay found that he could see through a hole in the wall right into the ruin. There, blinking at the light, was a disreputable rat, whom he'd known in the past but had not seen for years. He was now much more disreputable than ever. Kay had heard that everybody had dropped him and that he had gone pirating, but there he was again, a sickening object he looked. "Ah," Rat said, taking the cheese, which Kay could smell even in that cold weather. "And you wouldn't give me this if you could sell it to a tourist rest?" "You're right," Abner said, "I wouldn't." "I understand you, Abner, and you understand me," Rat said. He was eating the cheese with a sort of sideways wrench, while his little beady eyes stared at Abner. "That man Joe you better look out for, Abner," Rat said. "He's putting in for chief, likewise the ha-ha what man." "What do you mean?" Abner asked. "That's what," Rat said. He dropped his cheese on the floor, and he picked it up and ate it without wiping it. "Ah, that's what," he repeated. "What's your report?" Abner said. "A lady friend will take the dog. There's many a dog as I've loved more than that one now lies in a watery tomb with a stone round his neck. But some who claim to be friends never take a hint, that's what." "Ah, and there's to be dark doings. You've scared 'em, Abner, and I beheld their scare." "Well, this is news at last," Abner said. "What did you see?" "The drop of dew, upper room, the lion and the rose chamber, they call it. There's passages pretty near all and under round this city, and to them who knows them. I've gone a dark stravage into the pretty near every one first and last. They'd a meeting in the Lion and Rose at the drop of dew. One what you will be trying to get out of your ring at the dawn tomorrow, by Arthur's camp, across Butler's Down to Seven Barrows." "But Cole is at Tatchester," Abner said. "Well, one of what you what of will be trying." "And will he have the goods on him?" "Ah," Rat said, "that's what." "Well, will he? And which of them is it?" "I've been a cellarman, I have," Rat said, "and I've gone marine cellarman, and I've been a poor man living in the dark with others living in the light, with a haggy every day, and a grudge, a poor man so much as a fishbone. Yes, they do, and you says to me, find out what they decide. Them was your words, find out, you says, what they decide. There I've been in those dark dwellings in danger of dog, and found out what they decided. And now you says, Willie, and which one of them is it? You didn't tell me about that." "No, but you heard," Abner said. "I found out what they decided," Rat said. Abner seemed ready to box Rat's ears for his stupidity. He seemed to gulp down his wrath, and then said very sweetly, "So you don't know?" "I know what they decided," Rat said. "And why? Because I found it out. And how? By going the dark ways and being in danger of dog. What your words was to me that I'd done, although in danger of dog." "And you did well, Abner. My brave Rat, you did superbly." "That's what," Rat said. There was a pause. Abner said nothing, and Rat seemed to expect something. At last he said, "You said I was to have bacon rind over and above the cheese." "And you shall have, my brave Rat," Abner said. "I'll bring you one tomorrow." "That's the bacon rind to bring the plump on a man," the Rat said. "Bacon rind tomorrow, that and the marrow bone the day after, proper makes your fur shine. Is there any little dark job you want done then, Master Abner, or should I go now?" "I want you to report at 11 tomorrow morning at the usual place in case there should be anything." "And will I have the bacon rind then?" "Yes." "That K. Harker what you wot of," Rat said, "if you was to saw his head off, you'd do a good deed. He's to have a dog given to him at Christmas, that's what." "He won't bite you," Abner said. "Ah," the Rat said, "I hate him and I hate dogs." "Why?" "'Cause he's going to have a dog give to him." And after this, Rat smeared his paw across his nose and lurched off sideways to the candle end. He blew out the light and took the candle end. Kay judged that he bit the still soft tallow at the end, moved off into the underground passage, singing with his mouth full of tallow a song to his one tune of Sally in Our Alley. Now the nights are cold, and on the wold the wintry winds do whistle oh. I ride my grey on the highway and shoot them with my pistol. Now berries red hang overhead and berries of mistletoe. It's my delight to go by night to shoot them with my pistol oh. Presently the words died away underground, and Abner took a few paces to and fro in the ruin. Kay could hear a few muttered words. "Putting in for captain, are they? We'll see. And so Kay Harker is to have a dog at Christmas if that fool Rat would only choose the things that interest me instead of what interests himself, he might be useful. As for that intolerable child Maria at the house here, I wonder if she would be useful." He seemed to reflect for a while. Who is to get out of the ring by Arthur's camp at dawn tomorrow? Could Cole double back from Tatchester to try it, or would it be one of the others? Going to Seven Barrows too, what would they hope to do there? Well, the chances are that the box will be on the man who tries to get out of the ring that way. Bottles down, eh? As nice a quiet place for scrobbling as ever was made. We'll stop whoever it is, and of course it may be Cole, box and all. I believe it will be. It probably will be. Rat, if it be, you shall have 3 rancid kippers and a haggis. Come now, I must telephone." So saying, he flashed a torch on the broken stones of the floor and walked briskly away, passing within 2 yards of Kay. When he had gone, Kay slipped from his hiding place and returned to Sea Kings. And we'll see you tomorrow for the next part of Chapter 3.